Okay, so let's get to sewing. I'm going to start making the pants. So, if you recall, we cut 2 front pieces and 2 back. So this looks like the back because the crotch line is a little longer and it looks like a J. Yeah, they're almost the same. So we're going to sew. We're going to pin right sides together just the way we cut it. And we're going to start sewing in the inner seam. So we're going to pin these in place. Just going to put a couple of pins in so it doesn't shift as I'm sewing. We're going to do the same for the front piece. Okay, so we're going to move to the sewing machine. Okay, so we have the front 2 pieces sewn in the inner seam, and we have the 2 back pieces sewn in the inner seam. Okay, so we have both the front and the back pieces sewn at the inner seam. So now we're going to sew the outer seam of each pant leg. So I'm going to put a pin at the top, a pin at the bottom to make sure everything stays even and it doesn't shift as I'm sewing. And then I'm going to put a couple of pins in the center. I'm going to do the same for the other pant leg. Top, the bottom, and then a couple in the center. Okay, see it, my machine. Okay, now the front and the back pant patterns are sewn together. So we're going to turn one side right side out. Oh my God, it's so soft. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stick one pant, the one we just turned right side out, on the inside of the other pant leg so that right sides are together on the inside of this pant leg. And you want to match up the inseam right where the crotch is. So match up those two seams and pin. Now you want to go to the waist. Make sure that's even and pin. Stretch it out and pin every 3/4 inches. Do the same on the other side. Match up the waistline. And pin. Stretch it out. And pin every 3/4 inches. Ow! But don't do that. Okay, no blood. Okay, so now what we want to do, we're going to sew the seam. And this is the crotch seam. From the front of your stomach, all the way in between your legs, and to the back. So see it, my sewing machine. Okay, so we have, hold on, let me back you up. So we have the crotch seam sewn. So now we're going to pull the leg out. And then we're going to pull both legs right side out. And there we have the makings of some pants. So let me go try them on and see what kind of adjustments I need to make. And I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I tried the pants on. And two things. One, I definitely need a waistband because the back does not cover my big booty. So I'm going to have to make a waistband out of the scraps that I have to have. I'm going to have to make a waistband from the scraps that I have left over. So I'm thinking like a 3 or 4 inch waistband. Secondly, my pants legs are too wide from maybe the thighs all the way down. So I put a pin in where I want to start to taper them, and the pin is 20 inches down. So I'm going to turn them inside out, and I'm going to mark where I want to begin tapering them. And that's at that 20-inch mark from the waistline. So let me get, I don't know if I'm going to be able to write on this, but let's see. Got my pins and got my scissors. So I'm going to measure down 20 inches from the waistline. And that's where I want to start tapering them. And that's right here. So I'm going to take it from both sides. And right here. And I'm going to take in I'm going to take in 3 inches from each side seam. I'm just going to I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to do it from the side. I'm going to actually sew it on so that I can have the pins in the correct position when I sew. So they flip it. So I'm just going to pin right where I'm going to sew. And the thing about this fabric is that you're not going to be able to pick the threads if you make a mistake. So this is a one-shot wonder here. So that side is done, and I have pins going in like an elongated triangle. So let me do the same for this side. Smoothing it out. And this side I'm going to flip over. And again, I'm going to pin right where I'm going to sew. And let me do the same for the other pant leg. So I'm going to put them side by side so I can get the marking symmetrical, or the pinning symmetrical. Side's done. The other side. Okay, let's move over to my sewing machine. Okay, so I just tried the pants on, and they are to my liking. So now I'm going to trim off the excess. Bring it up so you can see. So this was my original seam line, and this is the new altered seam line. So I'm just going to cut a 1/2 inch from the new seam line. And like I said earlier, because you can't unpick these seams if you make a mistake, this is a good teaching lesson right here. Make it bigger than what you're anticipating it to be, and then alter it to your shape. So that pant leg's done. Let's do this one. Perfect. So now let's make a waistband. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so this is much bigger than my waist, which is good. So let's see if I can piece some pieces together. So this is a long piece. Let me just trim it up. Let's see what we got. Okay, so if I sew these pieces together, I will have more than what I need. So this piece is 4 inches wide. Yeah, 4 inches wide. Let's just cut it up. I'm just making sure it's the same width, nice and even. And now, let's see what we got here. Cut this so the sides are even. Now I'm going to put this piece over top of here. Just trim. Cut this in half. I'm going to put right sides together, and then I'm going to sew right here to connect. And then I can extend it out. Then when I fold it over, it's going to be a 2-inch waistband. So let's see if I have enough to keep the entire 4. Probably won't, but let's see. Let's see what we got. This is a project runway moment here. Make it work. Yeah, I think we have enough. Be cutting it close. Okay, y'all. I have enough pieces to make a waistband. So you gotta make do with what you have. So now let me stitch all of these pieces together. Now see you at my machine. Oh, before we move to my machine, let me show you how I'm gonna pin these pieces together. I want to show you every step. So what I'm doing, I'm putting right sides to right side, and I'm pinning together. Do the same all the way down the line, right side to right side, and pin. And don't worry about having all these seams, because who's really going to be staring at your waistband like that? You know, this is about your comfort and you completing this project. Okay. This is too funny. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces to make this waistband. And the first waistband, there are 2 pieces. Alright, last piece. Okay, all that's pinned together. And now let me pin this. Alright, everything's pinned and ready to be sewn together. So I'll see you at my machine. So this is the first piece with only 2 pieces. So this is going to be quick. And I'm just doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I have the waistbands sewn together, all the scraps sewn together to form a continuous waistband. So now I want to make sure that they're both the same length. So this was the two-piece one. So I'm going to put that over top of the patchwork. That's what I'm going to call it, patchwork waistband. Make sure we have... Okay, it's the same length. That's perfect. So now I want to make sure they are the same width. It's a little choppy, but looks pretty good for the most part. Okay, now I'm going to trim the bottom one so it's the same width as this top one. Okay, now I found some white elastic. So instead of making a drawstring, I'm going to do an elastic waistband. So, let's see what I'm going to do here. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to take one piece of this waistband and pin it to the pant. Right side to right side. And move you over. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and attach the waistband to the pants. Okay, so I've sewn on the first part of the waistband. And I left a little overlap here because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to attach or insert my what you call this stuff? Elastic, sorry. Had a brain fart. So what I think I'm going to do is sew it here. Attach it to this waistband. And then attach the other waistband over it. So I left some overlap here. So I guess I can trim that off. Okay. So I'm going to sew this elastic to the waistband. And then I'm going to attach the other part of the waistband, right sides together. And then it's going to be flipped over like that. Okay. So let me pin it. Pin it right there. And then as I'm sewing, I'm going to stretch a little so that it snaps back once I put it on and it takes up some of that excess. Okay, see you at the machine. Okay, so I'm working this plan out as I go. So I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So let me change to, I'm going to do a zigzag stitch. Actually no, I'm going to keep my straight stitch, but I'm going to pull it as I sew. Come up this way to secure it. Now, okay, so we have the first part of the waistband on. And it's nice and stretchy. Let's cut off these long threads. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin on the other side of the waistband. So I'm going to pin right side to right side. Pin here. And I'm going to pin all the way around the waistband. So once that's done, I'll come back. Okay, so the waistband is pinned to the waistband. Now we're going to sew the top of the waistband. And then it's going to be flipped over like that. So I'll see you at the machine. Okay. So like I said, we're going to flip it right side out. And we're going to fold along that seam where we just joined the top and the bottom half. And I want to make sure on the inside that these seams are facing up, so that when I stitch the waistband down, it's all enclosed. You won't see any of that fuzzy stuff hanging out. So this is very cumbersome. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold in a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to push these seams inward. And then cover it down with the waistband. And then pin it. So I'm going to do this off camera, but let me show you. You see those fuzzy seams right there? What I'm going to do with the waistband on the inside of the pants, I'm going to fold the edge down a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to push those fudgy edges on the inside of the waistband and stitch it down so that it's a nice clean finish like that. So we're going to go from this to this once I'm done. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So what I was doing was, I think when I last saw you, I told you that I was going to push the inside of these seams up, the fuzzy part, and then fold the waistband over. So what I decided to do was take my iron and press those fuzzy pieces up. so that it'll be easier to lay the waistband over top of them instead of struggling. So I'm pressing it upward into the inside of the waistband. Okay, so I pressed the little fuzzy seams inward. And so now I forgot I had this opening right here at the waistband. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this waistband up. So that it's one continuous waistband. And I may at the end have to slip stitch the edge because I may not be able to get all the way in there since I decided to join those seams at the last minute. So I'll meet you at the sewing machine.